us a little bit about the story of the game.
Siren is set in this remote Japanese village up in the mountains. There's this mysterious occurrence that happens. There's this there's almost a ceremony or a ritual that happens every 30 years. At the time when the game starts, there's an earthquake. So something goes wrong, terribly, terribly wrong, and the town becomes, which is a fictional mountain village, becomes encircled by a sea of red. And so the inhabitants who live there slowly begin to lose their human form and they turn into what's known as shibito, or living dead. So the goal of the game ultimately is, as you play one of 10 different playable characters over the course of 3 days, to survive against the shibito and ultimately make your way out of town. Siren is not your typical splatter horror game. We feel as though Siren's actually kind of almost redefining or evolving the survival horror genre. Just running around and button mashing and killing zombies left and right. You're not going to see that in Siren. That's not what this game is all about. This game is about strategy, it's about stealth, it's about thinking through your moves, and it's not necessarily about just shock for shock value. The fear and the horror in this game comes from being in an environment which is very mysterious to you. You're given very limited tools. Straight out of the gate, what you want to do when you first begin a new mission is you want to sight jack. You don't want to be in any environment where you don't know what's out there. So you're given this unique ability to sight jack, which allows you to see through the eyes of other characters. And in doing so, you can see through the eyes of the shibito, or the living dead, to see where they are, and really where they are, and if you might actually be in their direct line of sight. You can also in sight jacking, you can also see through the eyes of a companion character who may be with you. The other thing that pretty much you need to do straight out of the gate, besides sight jacking, is use the tools that are given to you in this game. And there's not many, so you're given a map. And on that map, you have a starting point, an ending point, and key landmarks. And the map doesn't tell you where you are. It doesn't tell you where the shibito are. But by sight jacking and seeing the shibito's position, for example, you may see a shibito who happens to be on a fire tower. If you consult with and reference the map, you can see kind of where you are in reference to that shibito. And you can also observe their patterns, the way that they're walking, so that you can try to sneak by them at an opportune time and not get detected.
You mentioned that there aren't a ton of armaments in the game, but there seems to be a great deal of collectibles. How does that work, or how's that set up?
In Siren, you're not always given something that when you're beginning the mission, you're not always given a tool or a weapon straight out, immediately. It may be that you go through an entire mission and you are just there and you may pick up items along the way. There's many, many archive items in the game, and you don't want to ignore these archive items because they help unravel the mystery and tell a little bit more of the story about what happened to this village. And so certain actions that you take determine later consequences. You definitely want to pick up the archive items. You're not always given a weapon. So if you are fortunate enough to have a shotgun or a revolver, you want to be strategic about how you use it, because you don't have endless amounts of bullets or ammunition. So it may be that you happen to see a shibito and you fire at the shibito, and if you're out of bullets, that's it, you're out. And so you need to kind of readjust your strategy and how you're going to move through the area to escape the shibito without getting harmed.
Like you said before, the game takes place over 3 days and you play as 10 different characters. How is it set up? What's the structure like?
In Siren, you play as 10 different characters. Each character is there for a different purpose. The game starts off with a character named Kyoya who read about this village in the internet. So he wants to go and kind of check it out, you know, like any curious high schooler, he wants to go see what's going on. There's a university professor named Timon whose parents disappeared mysteriously 30-some years ago. So he's there to see what happened, maybe learn a little bit more. There's an old hunter, Akira, who's been living in the village forever, and he notices that there's all these strange people, these visitors, these strangers who are there now. So with each different character, you learn a little bit more about the story, and you also learn about the other characters. Events don't happen chronologically. Siren is not a linear game where you start at the beginning and you make your way from one step to the next, and the story unfolds linearly. Chronology is not that important in this game. There's the scenario link navigator, which is kind of a graphical representation of the time in game and the characters. So you can see kind of which character you're playing, and maybe there might be an event that occurred at the same time, but that occurred with a different character. So for example, and this is just hypothetically, you may be playing as Kyoya on day 1 in the 12 o'clock hour, but during that period of time, there's a similar event going on with another character on that day and on that hour. And you can go back to the link navigator and see potentially how some of these events may be related from one character to the next or one day to the next.
The character models look really incredible and really unique. How did you go about making the characters?
The Siren team did a tremendous job with the characters. If you hit as you're progressing through the gameplay, anytime you hit the pause button, you'll come up with kind of a character profile screen, and you'll see an image of the actual actor who played that character in game. A lot of time and effort was spent on trying to make this almost photorealistic. There was attention to facial mapping, texturing, animation scanning, all of that to try to make the performances as believable or as potentially real as possible.
でもよかった。これ以上、それよりとにかく急がないと。
The game's looking awesome, and it looks like it'll shake up survival horror. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Great.